people. This is Dr. Evil Genius representing the Talking Shit Podcast, episode 13. I haven't chosen a title for tonight's episode. I got a lot on my mind, different seemingly unrelated things swimming in my head. So I haven't chosen a title. I guess at this, by the time some of you may be watching later on, you may find that there is a title. But as of right now, I don't have a title. But I do have some things that I would like to discuss. First, a little bit of housekeeping as always. I want to thank the people who have made the effort to help us build this community to this point. I have a lot of appreciation for all of you. We are in the early going. It is, I guess it's just, one of those things where, it's kind of a grind in the beginning. Sometimes it can be blinding to watch other content creators, grow at an exponential pace. But I'm proud of what we have accomplished so far. This being the 13th episode. I think that there's a lot more that we can do and that we will do in the future. So, with that said, again, we're going to kind of do a little bit of housekeeping here. If we would like to see this platform grow and have more varied opinions, more interesting discussions, it would be important for you to make sure that you like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's super important because we need to do things that the algorithm likes so that our platform of true inclusiveness in terms of respect for both genders, true inclusiveness for respect for people with different ideologies, religions, political affiliations, all of that. So I'm going to need you guys to, again, like, comment, and subscribe, share, hit that notification bell. If you're on the social medias, the ones that we're focusing on right now, Twitter, the Narcigram, the Twitch, they're all the same. At talkin_sh_t. And for those who would like us to react to certain stories, or even some of your own personal experiences, hit us up at talkingshitpodcastllc@gmail.com. Let's go in somewhat chronological order to start. We had the Filthy Casual MMA watch party on Saturday, and I would probably say, as far as the actual event went, the event itself was pretty anticlimactic. Some of the fights that I thought were going to be good fights, they were good fights. It was nice to see Santiago Ponzinibbio show up after 2 years gone from the cage and perform very, very well against an up-and-coming talent that is now not undefeated as a result of Ponzinibbio's unanimous decision victory, 29-28 across the board. But what I found to be most interesting, we had a Dutch gentleman join and really tested the mettle of this podcast. It really tested the platform. And what I mean by that is, we really wanted to create a place where people can say what they truly think and feel and not be met with, charges of bigotry of any kind, really. And we had someone come into the chat and was off topic. Obviously, the topic is on the fights, but uh, they wanted to talk about more political stuff. I guess it was a song by some rapper I never heard of. One second, I gotta get hydrated. It's hot. Um, and he had this, this thing, where he wanted to, make it very clear that um, he didn't really appreciate what he thought to be the martyrdom status put upon George Floyd. I listed all of these reasons, all of his imperfections. And my feeling on that is that, it's very easy to look at the imperfections of other people. And I think that it's pretty it doesn't really help. It doesn't help move the conversation. We're talking about a guy who was savagely murdered in the street. It's, and you want to talk about the fact that he was on drugs, and it's like he ended up on drugs the way a lot of people end up on drugs. He ended up on drugs because of a habit forming medication that was prescribed to him by his doctor. It happens to a lot of people. But I think in the fervor to try to establish some sort of moral superiority above the man whose life is gone, I think that it was a very distressing feeling. Whenever somebody dies being a hero, very few people want to rush and to try to find out everything he did wrong to make, his heroic attempt null and void. I believe that all people deserves to have justice under the law equally, just as much as everybody else. And whether or not you believe that George Floyd was a bad guy or a good guy, the things that he was accused of doing at the time that he was murdered in the middle of, literally in the street, those misgivings were not worthy of extrajudicious death penalty. And I think that some of us just want to prove we're so good and we're so much better than everybody else, and you don't really come off as better than other people. You just come off as missing your humanity, and it makes me question a lot about our society. Let's get to some of these comments here. Did the guy go overboard? I wasn't there for the MMA stream. Well, my gracious little co-host, Mrs. Evil, she did let me know that exchange was kind of distressing for her. She wasn't happy with it, so she let me handle it, which is my job. On at the same time as Kevin Samuels and Tim Pool. Well, I apologize. We had intended to have this show go on much, much earlier, but because of a very serious family situation, we anticipated that myself and the captain would get started at 10 p.m. tonight. So when it came time to actually starting, he's got his family. They're all together. They're worried about, the person that was afflicted. And, they're doing the super social thing, normal human being stuff that some of us damaged individuals don't understand very well. And I think that'll be a very, very powerful conversation for us to talk about, because um, sometimes I think that we judge people harshly for doing things that are pretty normal. I remember that there was this whole thing. We had a New York Mets player who um, did not want to miss the birth of his son, and he was very, very harshly raked over the coals for not being there for his team, and instead he was there for his wife and his child that was being brought into the world. And that fiasco turned into the MLB's paternity list, which I think the other major American sports also uh, that they also adopted, something very similar. I think that it's important to recognize that it is a good thing when people don't go to work to take care of their family, and to be, quite honest with you, I'm very happy that the captain and I have this kind of relationship where if one of us ends up in a situation, the other one will cover. Because, I do fully anticipate there are going to be times where the captain is going to be steering this ship solo, because, I may be dealing with some family thing, or I might just want to get my dick sucked. It's just the way it is, okay? Yes, Waffles. Drugs are bad. Simplistics, nice to see you, buddy. I do believe that, the thing that was gone through was handled. But again, they live as an actual family. They're not just relatives. That's one of the things you can say about Captain Paul and his people. I'm a man full of puns. A man full of puns. Yeah. I don't think there are any exceptions, Waffles. Some people, may want to hedge their bet on that, but I do completely agree with you on that. So yeah, I fully respect the captain for taking care of priorities. This is only episode 13. This is the ground floor of a project that I think will live on for a long time, hopefully, and hopefully with the assistance of many of you. Xenon 321, it's good to see you again. Thank you for coming through and joining me for episode 13 of the Talking Shit podcast. All right, so yeah, it was definitely it was a little bit distressing. I mean, I'm used to the misinformation when it comes to George Floyd. I think the gentleman was saying how it was proven that George Floyd was not killed via homicide, and anybody that's looked at anything, anybody who has looked at anything pertaining to the case knows that there is a reason why Derek Chauvin was found guilty on all counts. So it was I felt exasperated by the conversation, but I kind of understood where he was coming from, because the gentleman later expresses that he came up without his father. He came up in a really rough situation. He spent almost 3 decades as a carpenter, and then he switched into coding, which is not that, switching from the physical to the digital, especially later on in life, that is not an easy thing to do. So when you're talking about a man who did the whole learn to code thing, and he's worked so hard to you work so hard, and then you see that somebody who, by some accounts, maybe didn't live the most holy life is, being, deified in some cases. In the case of George Floyd, it makes it very difficult for you to look at what you've accomplished in life and say, well, why do I not get that kind of attention when everything that I've done was above board? And I get that. But that kind of rhetoric, that kind of thought process leads to a loss of humanity that actually hurts the human community overall, even, if you account for all of the good things that you've tried to do. So, it was a difficult conversation to have, especially since, that's the kind of conversation we should be having here on the main show and not on the MMA show. But I appreciated the back and forth anyway. And he was, pretty much a good sport overall, which is what we seek to build here on the Talking Shit podcast. We want to have it where people hear. You could say, hey, I disagree with this, or I don't really see that. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of the cognitive dissonance, but, even if you choose to ignore verifiable facts, there's really not anything that I can do about that, except, to let you know that you have the right to believe what you want to believe, but the rest of us will live. The rest of us will live in reality. Jamal Howard is here. How are you doing? Yeah, you definitely can't measure your success from the successes or the shortcomings of other people. The only thing I think that really matters is your humanity. I mean, you don't have to agree with certain. You don't have to. You don't have to. You don't have to put it out there all the time that, you're so holy and you're so great. You don't even have to acknowledge actual facts, but just keep your humanity intact. You don't have to agree with somebody's lifestyle. If a man wants to put on a dress and call himself a woman, you don't have to agree, but let him do his thing. If you don't think that it's a good thing for a man to watch other men pound his wife out, okay, that's cool. Then, don't do that with your wife. If some other guy gets off to his wife getting that airtight treatment, let him do him, is that the kind of standard that we want to set for society? Probably not. But, that's the beauty. That's the beauty of free will in human beings. You can literally do whatever the fuck you want to do, just so long as you are ready to deal with the consequences. So, speaking of consequences, yeah, I love this quote. The truth is the truth, even if no one believes it. Yeah, I'm a really, really big proponent of that thought process. So, I want to kind of use that as a segue to talk about something that I thought was very, very interesting. So, let me get this up on the screen for you. Let me get this up on the screen for you. How do I want to do this? I guess we could do it this way. I really wish that there was an easier way to zoom in on Windows, but whatever. Bill Cosby denied parole. America's ex-dad won't participate in required sexually violent predator treatment. Now, we did want to cover this on the show last week, right? Yeah, Ben Shapiro does say that the facts don't care about your feelings, but he betrays his oath to this edict, to this tenet. He betrays that on a regular basis. All right, so this is a good question. Before we get into the subject, I like this question, Jimmy Dean. Do you apply the same laissez-faire attitude when it comes to drag queen story time in schools? I want to make this very fucking clear. Very, very, very clear. When I say that if a guy wants to watch his wife get the airtight treatment, that is very different than drag queen story time in the school. How is that different? Because the guy who is in the privacy of his own home watching his wife get the business and then get all of the money shots, that guy is living the life that he wants to live, but he is living his life the way he wants to in the privacy of his own home. And where I think that people run into a lot of problems, regardless of what they believe, is that they do a lot of proselytizing. It is not good enough for somebody to believe what they believe. They must try to recruit other people to believe what they believe as a manner of, I guess, somehow legitimizing what they believe. No, you don't need other people to agree with you in order to legitimize what you believe. And quite frankly, it's pretty fucking disrespectful for you to assume that because you believe something that everybody else should. So that is the difference between drag queen story time and a dude that's just watching his wife just get fucking drilled like BP offshore, and then is there for the oil spill at the end. That is the true difference. People do whatever the fuck you want to do, but as my guy Simplistic says, hey, there are consequences. Like my boy, Jamal is, see, I get the feeling that we black men, we understand the concept of consequences very fucking well. We understand that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. But the guy that's watching his wife get pounded out, he is, doing what he's doing what he's supposed to do as far as living his life, but not putting it on other people, right? So therein lies the difference, Mr. Jimmy Dean. If you guys would just kind of hold on a moment. I believe we may get our co-host on the show today. But yeah, Jimmy Dean, we don't take anything here necessarily derogatory, unless it's obvious that that's what it is. Control and scroll. Oh, okay. We're going to do that. Thank you for that. There you go. See, this is the real reason we keep assholes like Waffles around. Okay. So, Mr. Dean, understand that, because I knew it was a scrolls feature, but I tried to click the scroll wheel and roll it, and it, obviously it didn't do what I wanted it to do. Welcome to the show, the Captain Paul. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, man. Sorry about that. Got caught
up.
Oh,
your mic sounds like doo-doo, son.
Oh, you hold on.
Fix your fucking mic.
Oh, dude, it's... What? Yo, it sounds like shit?
For a second, it sounded like, whoa, holy fucking static, Batman.
Wait, is this bad right now?
I mean, you know what I'm
Fuck, bro.
saying?
Hold on.
Yo, just make sure you're not looking at me while you're doing it, okay? All right? Just don't look at me while you do it, okay? Because
Fuck.
that you know we're not our relationship has not gotten to that point, okay?
Yeah, so this is still bad, huh?
You sound a little bit better, but I think you're probably gonna have to
Yeah, give me a
fucking
sec.
asshole. Yeah, but that's static, man.
Yo, put me in the background. I'll be right back.
Yeah. So oh, woo! That was fucking horrible, yo. Oh my god. IWH is here to do his little troll job. Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it didn't sound painful, but we have a standard that we are trying to uphold here on the Talking Shit podcast, and that kind of that kind of yeesh. Woo! Bill Cosby denied parole. Ex-America's dad won't participate in required sexually violent predator treatment. Now, I listened to the venerable O'Shea Duke Jackson talk about how and I gotta find I gotta actually I want to find um I don't really like the sources that I'm seeing. Um, so I'd like to find well, I'm not gonna put any of these hip hop sources on the screen, but what I will do is that I will say to you that um I will say to you that um hey Paul, talk to me.
Yo, yo.
Yeah, I can still kind of hear some of the buzzing in the back. But you sound decent for right now.
Mm-hmm.
Um, we'll try to address this later on. Uh, but
I just don't get it. I just got I don't get why it's fucking up. I didn't even really fuck with it that much since last time I fixed it.
yeah. So we'll we'll deal with the technical issues another time. I do believe that people can actually hear you. It's just the static is slight. It's noticeable. But we're gonna rock with this so that the show can go on. But we wanted to cover the fact that Bill Cosby, or as I so unaffectionately call him, Pill Cosby. Pill Cosby. He was basically denied parole because he refused to take classes because he has been designated a sexually violent predator. Now, of course, he's a legally blind 83-year-old. We're not really thinking that he is. We're not. We're not. Um, we're not thinking that he's going to be able to use the old Quaalude and the drink trick. But I think that is important. I think that is dually important for the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections to not grant him parole. And I think that it was probably also a good thing for him to deny parole. And so this is why I believe that. The Pennsylvania Department of Corrections has a duty to the people of Pennsylvania to make sure that they hold everybody equally accountable under the law. So since he was found guilty by a jury of his peers, and he has to do that time, and the judge says, hey, as a condition of your release into parole, you have to do these classes. It lets everybody else know that, yo, if you've done these kinds of crimes, it is definitely on you to do what you can to reform yourself, because it is supposed to be the Department of Corrections, supposed to be a place, the penitentiary, that is developed to help you correct yourself, so that when you're released into society, perhaps you can, be a better version of yourself. Now, we will
Yeah.
talk about mass incarceration in this country in another episode, but I think that it's also important for Bill Cosby to refuse to do so, because if he truly believes that he is innocent, admitting guilt is the worst thing that you can do. There are a bunch of guys that have been saying, well, all of the evidence points to me, but I did not do it, and I'm going to stand on that. And no, I'm not going to take a plea deal that is going to allow me, life in prison with the possibility of parole. No, give me the death penalty. And then you find out after they've been executed that, somebody else comes forward and says, yes, I'm the one that did the crime. We've seen that happen on more than one occasion. But one of the things I thought was very interesting in, and this is where I'm going with this, right? This is something that I thought was very interesting. O.J. Simpson had the fucking nerve to basically tell him, hey, just tell everybody you did it so that you could get out of prison. And the response that came back from Cosby's legal team was, well, here's the difference, Orenthal James. Bill Cosby was convicted with zero evidence. And in this era of believe all women, because apparently women are not capable of telling untruths. In this era of believe all women, he was basically convicted on the words of. He was convicted because they felt like they couldn't get him because of the other stories that had already had expired. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah,
with,
I know what you mean.
with OJ, hey OJ, we all know you did it. I thought that was pretty interesting. So I think for somebody like Mr. Pill, who has nothing left but his dignity, if he in fact did not do any of these things, even though everybody knew. We're talking about in the comedy circles, it was open secret that he was drugging women. So don't look at this as, me defending Bill Cosby. Because I personally, and this is just my personal opinion, I believe that he is guilty of some of the sexual assaults, but not all of them.
Well, doesn't that generally
Were you
happen?
following this? Were you following this, Captain?
What, the whole Jesus Christ, the whole Bill Cosby thing?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I followed it pretty heavily because I loved the Cosby Show growing up and shit. So it was kind of, I wasn't the biggest fan of his stand-up, like it was good, but nothing like something I'd continuously go back to. Okay. But yeah, like I followed it pretty heavily, and then when it kind of says within the circles, like he was known for drugging these women and shit like that. I do agree. I definitely think there was quite a bit of victims, but as it usually goes with these cases, right? a lot of women will come out of the woodwork saying, like, just even having a handshake with him, that they got drugged by him. There's been, I believe there's actually been a few cases that have been dismissed altogether. Uh,
There have been
from this,
women who have recanted and say, "Yo,
yeah,
people offered me money to make these claims."
exactly. So, like, I think there's a very dangerous. This is where I think he's a massive piece of shit. Personally, that's my opinion. That being said, you got to have due process, and it does get scary when we're just taking the word of people. You know what I mean? And we're not going through the due process of getting evidence and gaining evidence to kind of properly have a trial. It's like it's kind of similar like to how military court works. Is that you're essentially guilty until you prove your innocence.
Right.
Um, that's not how civilian court is supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
You're supposed to be innocent, you know, until proven guilty. But now it's like it's guilty, until you prove yourself innocent.
Right.
So like we could have a very long discussion about prison and how I think it misses the mark when it comes to reforming these individuals. Um, but I think that would be a better discussion for another show. But just pertaining to Cosby as himself, um, I do think he's guilty of being a scumbag and doing what he did to a lot of these women, but I don't think it was to this mass amount, right? That's because how many women? Because like you said, a few did recant, but like
High
there's a
double digits.
yeah high double digits. I don't think it was that many. Um, that's the dangerous times we live in when it's believe all women, and I get it. Like that's a very touchy subject for obvious reasons,
Yeah, I
and
mean, we went from the opposite extreme of believe no women,
right.
and there were a lot of victims, but now we're swinging over to the opposite extreme because one of the things that really bothered me when I listened to the stories of these women is that if you could not remember any details 30 years ago, how is it that you have this photographic memory of stuff that you claim you did not know
Right. Well,
30 years later? And now that part bothered me a lot. Whether or not their stories sound believable, um I believe that there is a reasonable doubt with some of those stories. You can't tell me that you did not. um you just can't tell me that you didn't know what was going on, and then you're able to give like super clear details 30 years later. I
well,
just
the
I
problem
can't.
is due to the spectacle now that has become our court system
Mm.
and the way they've bastardized justice.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, right. No, and I get that IWH, but the problem is, doesn't mean it's right. I know it's a part of the party system and stuff like that, but even then, it's like it's kind of really hard to justify that, right? Maybe it was a part of the times. I didn't live back then, but still, that's kind of like I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. I just think that's kind of fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the problem is bastardization of the justice system, making everything spectacle instead of doing things the right way. Everything's become political, even with our justice, and it's very weird. And I think it has
And ju-
affected
and the lady justice, she's supposed to have a blindfold over her eyes.
exactly. And it's not. It's supposed to be impartial, and that's not
Mm-hmm.
how things work. And it's just there's certain crimes that are kind of like fucking cut and chase. If they see you on camera, fucking shooting up a bunch of people, kind of
Mm-hmm.
obvious reason. Um, I just think we get into a very, very, very dangerous state in this country when we're no longer looking at evidence and we're just looking at accusations and we take that survival.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I wasn't going to mention Brett Kavanaugh, but that's the one that kind of stuck up to me
Mm-hmm.
is because there was a lot of loopholes in that story. A lot of things didn't add up. Regardless if you're conservative, liberal, whatever, I think what any rational human being, I should say, would want is just a fair trial,
Right.
and that's what these people deserve.
Like, where was
Uh,
this woman when he was coming up, through the
exactly.
channels of law to become the judge that he was? But now that he's about to be a Supreme
Exactly.
Court judge, now you magically remember all this stuff, and it's like, and you know, I gotta, I got, because again, you know, I know I want to talk about everything in the world, but anytime that there is an opportunity for, um, anytime there's an opportunity for me to help you guys be the best version of yourself, I'm gonna take it, okay? And this is not gonna be the first time that I mention this. This will not be the last time, and this is definitely something that us men need to be teaching to the younger men. So hold your fucking hats, because we're about to go in. I have a very, very clear rule when I date women. I have a very, very clear rule. Even my spouses in my own home that I've been with for years, everybody is held to this standard. And that is this: if you have any kind of mind altering substance in your body that's active, you and I cannot make physical contact of any kind. Now, a lot of people think, hey, but it's just a drink, or she just wanted to smoke a blunt, or blah 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 blah. You must understand something, young men. The things that are happening on college campuses
Mm-hmm.
and the way that they are adjudicating these cases, many of them with no experience in investigating really any kind of crime, violent or otherwise. You have
No.
school administrators. And these are Obama era rules that basically says that if 50.1% of you believe that they did it, then you can mark them guilty.
Yep.
With or without evidence.
Yep.
So what ends up happening is when you're talking about the Title IX rules, that, and one of the very few things that I thought that Donald Trump did right was striking down some of the unfair rules when it comes to adjudicating sexual violence on college campuses. Is that you cannot kick a guy off the campus and then tell him that, no, you can't know who your accuser is. There's no way you can effectively defend yourself. You're not allowed to go to class. You're not, you have to wear the scarlet letter because there's an investigation, and there's a whole lot of places that you're not allowed to go, but you're not even supposed to know who is making a complaint about you. Oh, and to make matters worse, it doesn't even have to be the girl that you had sex with. It could be somebody else that doesn't like you. It could be her roommate that says, well, I think, according to my definition, that she was raped. And she can make a third-party claim. And then the woman that you had sex with can say, well, I was not raped, and they will not listen to her. You will still be marked guilty. And that has happened time and time and time and time and time and time again on college campuses. And what people don't understand is that those kinds of statutes that are being created, they will be ported to common criminal law for us regular old civilians who are not living on college campuses, who are not going to any of these universities. These are going to be the new societal standards.
Well, yeah. Well, the one problem I've kind of seen with college campuses, because I actually had a buddy who dealt with a case like that, and he and the girl actually never in the same room, even in the same building. Dead ass serious. And so apparently he dated like a girl, and it just didn't work out for whatever reason. But her friend, who he never hung out with, it was only like about dating for a month, went to a completely different college, right? Mm-hmm. And then reported to my old academy saying, oh, well, like I was over at a party over in the dorms and, get together, and he, sexually assaulted me. And the process he had to go through was actually like just completely asinine. It made it like he got off eventually, but like for about a month and a half, 2 months, he actually had to leave for that semester. Like he couldn't finish the semester. He had to leave and kind of like fight himself. He actually ended up getting a lawyer and everything involved, because the problem with a lot of these schools is that it's not really impartial and fair type judgments. They're just going to do what's good for PR. It's not It's not due process. It's like, oh well, yeah, you can't be here. It's like, well, wait, the fuck? I paid like 20 grand to come here for this semester. Oh no, 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 you can't be here. Can't be here. And it's with a different chick that's off campus. And this is what I'll tell. Yeah, I know. It's fucking stupid. This is what I'll tell any guy that's dating in college. And I'm just telling you the truth. Party shit, doing drugs, going into a fucking, a frat house even, like fucking a ton of girls. Don't do it. I'm
Yep.
not saying to not, explore and, have certain relationships with women, but protect yourself. You don't want to be going on a fucking bender and then end up having some weird ass, I don't know. Some of these girls can be fucking weird. And they'll say some fucked up shit just because, like, oh, well, he wasn't into me, so fuck him. He assaulted me. And I don't know. It's just such a dangerous situation to put yourself in nowadays. You really got to protect your future. Because when you get that label, you know how hard that is to get off you, right?
It's impossible.
Because
even
if you
even
prove
if
yourself
found, yeah,
Yep.
even if found to not be guilty of the charges, you will wear, the grapist. We're gonna call it that. We're gonna wear the grapist. You're gonna wear that around your neck for the rest of your life. So
Yeah,
you have to be very, very careful.
I'll know
Of
that, and I'll know this, man. Is I know that dude. I'm not saying his name. He was actually like he almost forever sleeped himself. So
Yeah,
like it fucked with him because it fucks your reputation up, even if you're innocent. He mind you,
yeah.
he's gotten right, looking like he's doing pretty well, but that is it's just the way some of these schools handle these very difficult fucking situations is asinine, and that's why if I think like I get it, there's going to be some cases where there's that douchebag guy who goes way over the fucking top,
Right. And the
but
thing is, those guys don't get any respect from men. It's a
no,
fucking myth that we're high fiving guys who are drugging and raping girls. No, actually, excuse me, graping. Drugging and graping. We have no respect for those people at all.
no, because
We have less than zero. In
because
fact,
it's
those
not
are the guys
manliness.
that get targeted.
Well, it's just one of those things, man. Those are the dudes you don't respect, and it's like this whole myth of toxic masculinity that just doesn't exist. Because
Yeah.
any dude I talk to, a real dude, not like fuck that. Like that's some clown shit.
Right.
Like really, like you like a lot of us fucking say you're really fucking that desperate for pussy. That's pathetic.
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
so like,
Exactly.
I think for me, protect yourself, man. Don't be getting drunk at these parties doing fucking
Oh,
coke or
that's what
something.
I want to address. That I want to address
Don't do
that,
it.
Paul. Young men out there, it is important that you understand that if you have bedroom fun, if you engage in the activity where you repeatedly insert tab A into slot B or C or D, and you have the same amount of intoxication as the woman, she will always be seen as the victim.
Yep.
You will always be seen as the grapist. Every single time. You can wake up with her riding your mechanical bull,
Mm-hmm.
and you will be seen. You are going to wear that scarlet letter.
Yep.
And is it really worth doing so?
No.
So this is why I'm letting you know. This is why I am telling you. If she has any kind of, she's got any psilocybin in her system, if, yeah, I agree with Waffles on this one. If, or Pepe Le Pew, right? If she's got any kind of alcohol in her system, if she took any kind of pills, anything, literally anything, it is in your best interest. And I'm not just talking on college campuses, Mr. Sausage. Pause. Not just talking on college campuses, because what I'm letting you know is how you're seeing these cases being adjudicated on college campuses. You will be seeing that encoded into criminal law for the rest of us. And what is more, if you haven't been paying attention, when you look at the Bill Cosbys of the world, somebody can make a claim 20, 25, 30, 35, 40 years later, and your life is over.
Yep.
So one of the things that you got to do, and you have to understand, is that you're going to have to do some unbalanced things to get things to go back to balance. And, you know, I'll tell you a story. I'll tell you a little story. That I mean, I can't even forget it, right? When I was working at a chain gym as a trainer, I was at the front desk talking to this woman that, you know what I'm saying, she definitely wanted my Franken beans. And I would have given it to her, but I don't know. I like fit women. She wasn't. But anyway, so, you know, this, you know, I guess he was like some sort of like gay group fitness instructor or yoga or whatever. And then I get into a conversation with him at the desk, and, you know, we're talking about different things. And then this other woman shows up. And she told this story that fucked me up. She tells us, you know, because we're all standing at the front desk on a Sunday morning. And she says to us that she has a friend that she was walking down the street with. And they walk past a construction zone. And there were guys that were catcalling. So this woman got so upset that she was being catcalled that she actually called the company and complained that she was going to sue if it continued. So the company is like, well, guys, if we get another such complaint, we're docking your pay and you'll be suspended. So what do you think those construction workers did, Captain?
Probably vindictive, some type of way.
They stopped catcalling because they didn't want their money fucked with. Just like the company didn't want their money fucked with, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But that's not even the punchline. So the woman says to us, so when she walked with that woman again past the same construction zone and was not reacted to at all, she complained. She turned to her friend and said, is there something wrong with me? Because nobody's responding to me.
Dude, Waffle's comments like fucking on point. Like kind of referencing like how, you know, this Pepe Le Pew and the cat, how like essentially it's like they stop, you know, you stop chasing, and they're like, oh, well, what's wrong? Like, am I not attractive? Am I not pretty?
And the thing is, I mean, look, you assumed that they was going to go vindictive. Waffles assumed the same thing. Again, this is bullshit. This is the bullshit. Let me get into my Kevin Samuels bag. This is bullshit. It's such bullshit that they even have us men who are aware having us believe the bullshit. See, you know, when we hear about, you know, the cat caller, oh, well, you ain't that cute anyway, and all this other stuff, right? But in reality, most men are saying, oh, you don't want my attention? You are now invisible. And how do they respond when they are now invisible? They don't respond very well. They thrive off of male attention. Oh, and what is more, they also thrive off of male non-sexual attention as well.
So
this is why you should stay off the OnlyFans. This is why you should get off the Narcigram, because the thing is that they are filling up on the things that matter to them while giving you nothing that matters to you. That is not fair exchange. What's up,
like,
Paul?
So like, man, okay, because you brought it up. This is the thing. I'll mention the whole cat calling thing. You're right. because a lot of these women that fucking complain about the shit are the same ones that either A, fucking will miss it when it's gone, or B, don't get catcalled because they're not good looking. Am I wrong? Because the most
Let's
people,
be, let's,
am I wrong? Because
yeah.
most of the women I see complain about it, like either, you know, they're a bitch, or B, they look like a whale. So, there's no in
A
between there.
beached whale.
A beached fucking whale, a main special. So like for me,
No,
bro,
you got to explain that one. A
yeah,
main special.
a main special, bro. A land filled with whales. You want that big big B the BPW, it's all you. But like for me, it's absolutely fucking insane. Like with these OnlyFans shit, right? Like Instagram, whatever, bro. You want to be on a public fucking platform and it's free, whatever the fuck it is, right? But when you start paying for this shit just for pictures, it's like, like there's Pornhub, there's a ton of fucking websites you can fucking use Google image
Yeah,
search
I only
if you
half
really
agree.
have to.
I only half agree with you. I gotta push back on something. I gotta push back on something because there's a reason why I mentioned Narcigram, regardless of whether it's free or not. You have to understand that there is a social contract, an unspoken social contract between the sexes. Women, by and large, trade their sexual access for either commitment or male attention. So when you give away your male attention for free, you're breaking the social contract.
Listen, like this is my take on it. We're gonna disagree with this slightly. I'll push back. I just like for me, they want to fucking post pictures online, and it's fucking dudes are simping over the shit, and they're fucking like, oh well, they're not interacting. They're like, bro, like social media, like you can find shit in real life near you that's gonna be just as good. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, I think the problem is, as a whole society, we're way too much in that social media bullshit. Like, people just live in it, right? They don't go outside. They don't fucking go experience life. So, I don't see Instagram that big. Like, is it an issue, I think, with narcissism, right? Does it create that a lot? Yeah, because
that's why it's called Narcigram.
Yeah, so like they believe that the world revolves around them and they're half naked pictures, right? But I don't really care, like, because I'm not one of these people that's trying to desperately get in those DMs because I don't fucking like it.
But here's where you fuck up, Paul. But here's where you fucked up. And I don't understand why I have to keep explaining this to people. You are not in the market for that. However, you have to live in a world that that the environment is created in part by this kind of perversion of the social contract between the sexes. So, when you go to the store and you're standing online and you get that nasty attitude from one of the women that's there, that is part of the entitlement that is created by other elements of society that allow them to think, well, I've got, the magic, I've got, the magic gash. I get all of, and we're talking about average looking women, right? That think that every guy should, bow down and kiss the ground and lick the ground that they walk on.
Yeah, but like,
if that's the type when you get the average woman that won't interact with the average guy, then the average guy, again, we're going to go right back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When your baseline needs aren't being met, your higher functions are going to cease to exist in an efficient manner. So what happens is when you got all these fucking simps out there blowing up the head of women whose are 3s, 4s, 5s, and 6s, making them all think that they're 10s. Now all of these women are now out of reach for the common man. And then what happens? What kind of society do we get when even the average or below average woman is out of reach
Yeah, but
for
see,
the normal guy.
see,
When
but I
you're
just,
going shopping at the
bro.
supermarket and somebody pulls out a gun, now they've made their problem your problem.
Yo,
And I don't understand why I have to keep explaining
yeah,
this shit.
bro. Like, this is my thing, man. Right? Is like, if it's okay, just say an average fucking woman, right? Posts
Right.
Instagram, has some followers. I know some girls like that. Post whatever, right?
Hmm.
Most of them, right? If they live their life through that fucking platform, are lonely as fuck.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Exactly.
No doubt. There's no doubt about that.
So like, my thing is this, bro. I get where you're coming from, but for me personally, if a bitch wants to die alone, a bitch wants to die alone. That's my thing. Because if they're thinking they're tens and shit like that, and they deserve all this, like we both watched Kevin Samuel videos where like some women that think they're like on this super high pedestal. I think is funny. It's like, if they think that, that's fine, bro. But you're just gonna die alone, right?
Oh,
Like,
me and Xenon, we agree, but we'll address this in a minute.
so like, for me, I do understand the concept where you're coming from, where there's a social contract that's not being fulfilled from both, like, from the woman's side of things. Then, right? Is that kind of what you're kind of breaking down?
No. So now I'm going to address it. Let's put Xenon's comment back up there, because I 100% agree. Okay? Do I hate the existence of OnlyFans? Absolutely. Do I hate the women for it? Absolutely not. Why? Because it's not the women who broke the social contract. Men. When we're talking about being the best versions of ourselves, this is what the fuck I'm talking about. Men broke the social contract. The rise of OnlyFans is our fucking fault. Because if there is no market for what they're selling, OnlyFans would not exist.
Yeah, but sexuality.
You are contributing. You are contributing to you having to buy stocks in Vaseline, lotion, and tissues. You're the reason, not the women. The women are smart for taking advantage.
Right.
Whatever the defense gives you, right? We're all sports fans. Well, most of us. Yeah. We understand that if the defense is going to give you something and the goal is to win, you take that shit. This is not a women are horrible issue. This is a men need to be better. We need to be better, and we need to value ourselves more than what we're doing. We broke the fucking social contract, not the women.
Okay,
and we need to own up to that. We need to stop following these women. Because, oh my God, she's got titties and an ass. Name a woman on the planet not born with buttocks and breasts.
Well, I guess
there's never been one.
I guess for me, I agree with you, but that's why my stance is I don't really fucking care if they post online on Instagram. I don't fucking care because, oh Jesus Christ! But I pause. My thing is this, bro. Is a man is a true man comfortable with his own skin, right? He ain't gonna be simping over a woman. I do agree. I think a lot of these new age women. I knew a lot of these new age women, right?
Yeah.
They're put on this pedestal by dudes that don't know how to interact with women. And I think we can have a big discussion how I think a lot
We're
of
having this discussion. Let's have it right now. Let's talk our shit.
A lot of society and a lot of how I think failed parenting has made it so that you got to put these women on a certain pedestal and you can't keep them honest.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the OnlyFans thing to me, when I hear a man have like, oh, yo, I subscribed to this girl on OnlyFans, I'm like, I look at you in a lower, like,
absolutely
lower down a notch, because I'm like, bro, listen, if you that fucking desperate and that fucking pathetic that you're paying for these pictures from like stuff like that, it's like, go outside, go on dates, meet other women. Society as a whole is fucked right now because every interaction you have is essentially based online, right? Like a lot
and
of
they're very
online
transactional as well.
Yeah, like you know how many delusional women there is when it comes to dating profiles. Like, oh, like,
dude, I've done nothing. Dude, I've done nothing. Yo, I've done nothing. Yo, I'm starting to save screenshots of the entitlement, son.
No, but my thing is, bro, like, even when I was dating a few years ago, right? is
Mm-hmm.
like some of that shit was wild. Like I'd go on to, like I said, I went on that one date, bitch didn't even look the same. I'm like, yo, you must have used high school because like you look pretty good back then. Now it's like, yo, like I can't. Where's the neck begin and the fucking chin end? I don't know. Like I just like some of these fucking dudes don't know how to properly interact with a female in person, and then with this female, there's this wall of internet privacy and kind of, how would you put this, exclusivity that they feel like they have. Like, oh, like I'm above this, I'm this. Like, you know, some of the insane things you will read on dating websites by women and their demands and stuff like this, it's just crazy. And we live in a society that puts women on these pedestals and they feel like they're above men, right? And
Right.
men are being constantly dragged down. So I think in a lot of ways, that's why I think guys are simping pretty heavily right now, because I think masculinity as a whole is down bad.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, uh,
Masculinity is under
because
attack
like every fucking thing
heavily.
we've had this conversation on the phone, right? When I was in the middle of New York and Anchorage, we talked for a good like hour and a half, 2 hours about it. Is that masculinity's down bad, and the reason why it's being down bad is because, let's be honest, every ad, every fucking product is essentially pro female and anti male.
Absolutely.
Even the shit that's meant for men is
And
still
we will talk
marketed
about
towards
that.
women. And
Absolutely.
when you're in a society that just essentially it's like fucking completely consumed, like how fucking anti men are shit. It's all women, pro fucking women. Like it's insanity. So when you get these kids at young ages, even with the cartoons these days, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have that shit. It's like you get these kids at a very young age, and you kind of get them like fucking brainwashed in a way. In my eyes, like you get them brainwashed, you get them conditioned to think a certain way. Like, oh, like men are icky, men are asking, like, oh, I'm not like that. Like, you know, I'm a feminine man or some shit.
We're
And
gonna break down the Gillette razor commercial. Absolutely.
the Gillette, well, the Gillette razor commercial was one of the most infamous because they lost
No. Yeah. We're no.
so
Continue your
much money.
thought because that's a different tangent.
No, I know, but
We are going to go in hard on that, but I want you to finish your thought.
so like my big thing is that when you have a society that's completely geared to being anti-men, what do you think's going to happen? Men self-esteem, men confidence, men's even interaction with women. It's going to be at an all-time low.
Mm-hmm.
And we need to have these kids realize, like, hey man, like you have value too. You're the breadwinner. You're the fucking hard worker. You're the foundation of society. You're the one that's going to be working these hard ass jobs that are actually important to society, right?
Right.
Um, you know, got to be yeah, that be a dick. Fucking an Instagram influencer, a female, right, has no bearing on society either way. Like if she died tomorrow, she doesn't fucking affect the world. But like if that's fucked up, but it's true. But like if you had people that were actually building infrastructure in this country, like construction workers, like you
I have a
actually
one
need.
percent. I have a 1% disagreement with that, but I agree with it 99%. But continue.
So like you have construction workers, you have engineers, you have that. Those men are going to be far more important to the world than any just bimbo shit on OnlyFans.
Mm-hmm. And we're gonna talk about the media's role in this as well.
So like I think we really need to, as men, cultivate a society that's more pro men and making them realize all the good, like all the good that you can do as a man is being a provider, being the leader in a household, because that's the man's designated role. It's to lead.
Right.
It's
Right.
not to be a bystander. It's not to have the power sucked away from you. Is I've seen so many relationships fail because of that, where I think men didn't know how to properly lead their women, right?
Mm-hmm.
Take the role, take that situation, like, okay, like here, like let me guide you through this. It's like that is
Mm-hmm.
so frowned down upon. Oh, it's like, oh, you looking down at me on a because I'm a female? I'm like, no, like, you know, like we've had
Mm-hmm.
said previously on this, man. It's like women have pros and cons, men have pros and cons. We both help to complete each other when the proper contracts made. But right now we have young men, I should say, have a very unfair advantage because the cards are stacked against them in a lot of ways. Because
You mean
women want,
disadvantage?
yeah. Oh, sorry. Did I say advantage? Yeah. So I
You
meant
said an
disadvantage.
unfair advantage. I was like, wait, what?
Yeah. Sorry.
Okay.
Disadvantage. I apologize.
Yeah.
Disadvantage because like these women get all the pros of trying to be a man in the society, but none of the cons.
None of the responsibilities.
But
So
men's get less pros than before and like all the cons.
right. So I want to be very clear because I actually pulled up a screenshot because I wanted to talk about this. This woman 33 years old. Her about me, new here, looking for good conversation and connection. Two beautiful kids, so a package deal, and then she puts the heart, the hearts around the face emoji, and it's like these chicks just think that they're just you're post wall. You've got two kids. It's over for you. It's a wrap. But anyway, so I wanna kind of make some points that some men are starting to make. They're starting to make these points, but I think that and I'll also share a little bit of a personal thing as well. I went through. This is what I went through. I'm a couple of years from 40. Okay, so that means that I was going through puberty in the 1990s. Okay, and I was warped by two powerful factors. A, I was raised by women because all the men were chased away. And we'll talk about that in a minute. And then B, in the media, everything that I saw, even through children's cartoons, a lot of what I saw was girls rule, boys drool. Now, I've always said that the girls rule part was not necessarily a negative thing. I thought that it was potentially a very positive thing, especially in certain countries where girls were definitely seen as less valuable than their young male counterparts. But the problem that I had with it, it was that it wasn't enough for you to just say that girls rule. You also had to go with boys drool. You had to go there with it, right? You had to tear boys down. So a lot of boys, and again, like I said, I'm nearly 40, right? So imagine, me going through puberty, getting these messages that being a boy is a bad thing. And then you look at some of the younger guys that have grown up since then, and they've got two negative things going for them. One, we are all old enough to understand what happened to the men in the generation before us. So we've seen how men get destroyed in the court system. They get destroyed in divorce court. They get destroyed when it comes to visitation. They get destroyed with the child support. And so now you're starting to see that young males don't see any value in fulfilling their end of the contract, which in that part of the contract would be giving the women what they ultimately want, which is the security that comes with getting with a provider male that pays their bills and puts a ring on it and all that other stuff. Men don't see the modern woman as holding up her end of the bargain because all of the advantages go to her and none to him. So there isn't really a good incentive for a man to look at a situation and says, you know what? I'm going to bet half my assets on this woman. When they know that the atmosphere tells women that what a man wants is immaterial. The only thing that matters is what they want as women. That's the only thing that matters. So growing up without my father figure in my life, growing up with a lot of all niggas ain't shit type of vibe in my life. And then when you watch cartoons on TV, you see that girls are worth more than boys. When you keep seeing these kinds of messages, what it tells boys is, A, why should I even want to be a boy? So by the time I was, getting into my late teens and early 20s, now I'm starting to see boys wearing girls' clothing. Because ask yourself this question, who wants to be on the wrong side? Who wants to be on the losing team? Why do you think there were so many Golden State Warrior fans 4 years ago?
Yeah,
right?
Now there's not many.
Right, everybody wants to be associated with a winner. So now we're getting all of these messages talking about, boys should be girls. And it's like, no, you demonize boyhood. And then what was left for a lot of these boys? So
Well,
I actually grew up hating myself as a young male. I didn't trust myself. I didn't trust my own intentions. I did not trust my fellow man because all the rhetoric that I heard was all males are horrible and basically we're all grapists in training and abusers in training. And, until the first time you do it, because every woman is a victim and every man is a perpetrator.
and I think the big thing is like even subconsciously with a lot of these cartoons, they don't do it subconsciously, but with these cartoons, like for a child, subconsciously, and a lot of these cartoons, they make the male dad an idiot, like the dad an idiot,
A fucking buffoon idiot.
and then they make the woman like
Or
the
he's abusive.
yeah, or that, and then they make the woman intelligent. I
Yeah.
think I get it. Some of that's done for comedic purposes. Um, they're actually done for comedic purposes, but I think we need to get back to realizing that having a masculine presence in the house is needed. It is. I think there's just so many households where it's not there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it does. It affects the kids. I think that's why we've gotten to the point we have in society, man. Because growing up, man, like my parents were the only ones I know that weren't divorced. And I'm not gonna,
Whoa.
yeah, like I'll be honest with you, I don't know. A lot of my friends just have all their fucking, they're all divorced. Their parents, all of them. Like I can't even think of one that's still they were still together with their first partner. So
In my racial community, 8 out of 10 children are born out of wedlock.
mm, so like I think when you get into this, it affects like some of the dudes I'm really good friends with. I'm not gonna name for reasons. They were stunted in a lot of ways until they got older, and to a lot of these guys, I'm not putting myself on. I had to be like a dad to them, like with certain things. Like like you need to get this shit done. You need to do this. You got to get off your fucking ass. Because there's a lot of there's a lot of dudes, I think, because when you grow in a woman household, and I have a very good friend of mine, I love him, but he takes all his mom's tendencies. He's not assertive. He's extremely passive. And, like, I've had to get in his face, like, bro, you need to stop being a pussy, and you need to fucking attack life. Because that's how you're going to fucking succeed.
Oh, like when Kobe got in LeBron's face at the All-Star game?
Yeah.
When he passed on the final shot?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, my thing is like you got to be assertive and you got to do it. And I think a lot of them have kind of, some get irked when I say it, but I'm like, I just grow from a different, like my dad's old school, extremely old school. And actually, I'm very similar to my father in a lot of ways that I've noticed as I gotten older. Mm-hmm. And I think like you just got to be assertive and fucking like, yo, I'm going to go get this shit. I'm not going to be like, oh, I don't know, I'm scared. Oh, I don't like, fuck that shit. That's pussy energy.
Yeah.
You gotta fucking go out there and capture it, man. Regardless of what you want to be, I don't give a fuck if you want to goddamn be a gardener or some shit. Go get it. Go get that. Go start
be
that
the
business.
best fucking gardener you can be.
Exactly, man. Don't matter. I don't give a fuck about that. If you're driven, fucking do it. And that's the big thing, man. You got to go try to attain your dreams, and that's why I don't see in a lot of these kids that grow up in these households, man, and they're stuck in this fucking loop of being in a place of nowhere. And you know what? I'm just going to fucking call it how it is, man. A lot of those dudes that are very passive and stuff like that have a lot of issues with relationships because of that. Because
we're talking about all kinds of relationships, not just romantic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, exactly.
Professional relationships.
Yep. Because they don't know when to either put their foot down or how to take the lead. So they'll either be walked all over themselves. They'll be walked all over their whole rest of their fucking lives. They won't know how to lead. They won't know how to take charge, and they're not masculine enough to be successful. Because I think what people get confused is like, oh, it's talking masculinity. No, masculinity isn't toxic. Masculinity is what creates wins. Masculinity what creates society, a successful society. If everyone had feminine energy, we'd all be apprehensive and we would all not get shit done.
Right.
And that's, I'm sorry, bro. Like, yeah, there's some outliers when it comes to women that are fucking ruthless, but they take on masculine type traits to be successful. And that's a discussion that you can have, because every successful businesswoman has like all her traits are essentially masculine. Like,
yeah.
And that's the thing.
Absolutely.
So like, that's the thing where I don't like when you're seeing these kids indoctrinated into being like, oh, it's all women and stuff like this. I don't care if you want to be a feminine guy, whatever bullshit. I don't fucking care if you're an adult and you make that decision. What I don't like is when you're a child and you're brainwashing these kids to think a certain way. You know, think about it like I just think there needs to be better male leadership overall in the household, in society, because right now, man, there's the Kevin Samuels, there's our podcast, there's some good people out there that are going to kind of put these kids in the right directions. But man, like some of the advice I see by some of these pages or these social media influencers, kind of following this brainwashing of sorts or this like dogma that they just like oh yeah, like believe all women, oh men got to be
Can we
feminists.
get into that for a second?
Yeah,
We're
we
gonna
can.
get in. We're gonna dig in. We're gonna dig into this. We're gonna go back to Jimmy D's comment about the Gillette razor commercial,
Mhm.
and I'm gonna preface what I the turn that we're about to take. I'm gonna preface this, and I want you guys to really, really, really understand something. Okay. Um. Um. I spoke to somebody that I love very, very much. Somebody I respect. And they were very, very combative in a discussion that I had when I told you that I don't believe in the womanist propaganda.
Mm.
And they just kept interrupting me. They wanted to dominate the conversation because they were so offended.
So she was so I don't know, he or she was exuding masculine energy then. Yeah, continue.
Oh, lots and lots of it. So, in an attempt to really truly understand where that person was coming from, I asked them a simple question. What percentage of men do you believe are actively mistreating women? And her response was 70 to 80%.
Woo! Wow.
And that's really when my brain checked out of the conversation.
8 out of 10 motherfuckers down the street gonna grape the shit out you. Like, what the fuck? Yo.
Yeah.
Yo, the statistics
and the thing
don't
is, like,
even
I wasn't upset. I wasn't even upset.
Yo,
At that point, like, I understood that the rhetoric,
what the fuck?
the rhetoric is winning, like, and that's all you really need to do in a lot of these situations. So I attempted to explain to them the economic, common stuff, dismissal, catcalling, I think grape,
Saying hello on a first date, holding the door open.
I'm
sorry, bro. I'm sorry, bro. Like, some of the shit that I fucking see by these, I'm not trying to cut you off, but some of the shit that I see as fucking complaints these days is asinine, bro. Like, I had one girl and I literally ended the date right there. It's like, fucking, I opened the door. Oh, I don't need you to hold the door. I was like, fuck this then. And I just took, she's like, well, what do you mean? Like, I said, I'm not dealing with this fucking shit. Like, if you're going to be a fucking cunt right off the rip, why are we going to even go on a date? Like, why waste my time, bro? I drove an hour here, bro. I'll just go fucking suck my own dick at that point, I guess. Pause. Like, yo, this absolute ridiculousness that I see from some of these fucking women, bro. Yo, I'm sorry, man. It's absolutely ludicrous. Like, holding a door is like, oh, that's like some of the Facebook posts I'll see. Oh, that's subliminal, like toxic masculinity because they're like telling you to get inside. Like, shut the fuck up, bro. Like, absolutely ludicrous some of the shit that these women are, man. I can't date a feminist, bro. I just can't. I can't. Like, I believe in equality, bro. Everyone should have equal opportunity, equal pay if they're doing the same job, bro. But like, fuck that shit,
doing the
bro.
Same job with the same intensity
job, bro.
and the
Listen,
same efficacy.
Exactly. Like, you're doing the same work as me. Yo, hats off to you. Whatever. But like, yo, Like some of the fucking like, yo, I'm sorry, yo, 8 to 10 still blows my fucking mind. Like, yo, like I know you love this person, care for this person, but like, yo, I have to ask, are they fucking retarded? Because that's absolutely like the stupidest shit. You know, that's the stupidest shit I've ever fucking heard in my life, dude. 8 out of 10 dudes, bro. Like I would say 1 out of 10, maybe 2 out of 10, like on a bad day where she goes down a wrong, avenue where maybe there's a bunch of rapists just hanging out. Like, yo, is that what she did? Like, yo, she went down a bad avenue, raping his, oh Jesus Christ, grape alley, where it's just absolutely ridiculous. I can't stand the stupidity, and the problem is, it's people like that. It's not even really their fault. It's the fucking shit they put out here on like these stupid fucking news. Well, like fucking.
Well, I'm about to go there. I'm about to go there, Paul.
Sorry, it just pissed me off.
I know. But I'm saying, I just said that to lead in on this, okay? And so I love how both of these comments came in, one right after the other, one on Twitch. Thank you, Blind Bat, for your contribution. And then Chrome Dome Omega, they both brought up two of the biggest factors in this conversation: the corporate world and the legal world. So we're about to have, so we talked about the Gillette commercial from, what was it, 2019, right? Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to take you guys through the methodology that allowed that to happen, which is part of the reason why Procter & Gamble took a huge financial hit, partially on some of the failures of their subsidiary, Gillette. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, the way that our economy works, we are a consumer-based economy. We are a debt-based economy. That is how our economy actually runs. On debt and on consumption. People are out there buying stuff that they haven't earned yet. And we're going to be talking about that as far as ways that we can become more responsible men ourselves. But for the purpose of this conversation, more than 75% of the consumer debt that is outstanding belong to only one gender. And it's not male. Okay? About 80 to 85 cents on every consumer dollar spent is spent by women. And that has always been the case, no matter what the workforce looked like. When we had more of a focus on the nuclear family, women still controlled the money. The man would go out and make the money, but he would bring that money home to the woman, and then she would decide what food to buy, what baking pins to buy, what pots to buy, what couch to buy, what rugs to buy, what clothes to buy. Right? So, the tried and true method is to focus your advertisement campaigns, aim it at the women, because they are the ones that spend the money. They're not the ones really earning the money, And again, we're talking about back in the days of when you could work a 40-hour work week and you can actually support a family on it. We're talking about way back then, not in the environment we have now. Way back when, the man would bring home the bacon and the woman would cook it. And that goes across the board. If he brought home food, she cooked it. If she brought home money, she spent it. So, men were not at home watching TV. So who were the commercials aimed at? The homemakers, the women who are at home watching TV.
Yep.
So, the spending patterns men tend to be pretty minimalist. Men will go out there and earn money and or spend money as long as it leads to their nut tank being emptied.
Yep.
Which is why you have that old adage that men don't like nice cars. Men like nice cars because women like nice cars. Right?
Yep.
And hey, you know, um, I'm not gonna argue with that. You know, I want to provide a better life for my ladies and also represent myself better. So that is one of the reasons why I drive a Mercedes and not a Honda, right? So here is where Gillette fucked up, because Gillette, you fucked up. So here is where Gillette fucked up. Gillette assumed that after hashtag I as well, they assumed that the spending patterns would be the same. Mm-hmm. So when they let this man hater go up there and direct a commercial that says, "Hey, hi, I know that you're our consumer. Hey, consumer base. Hey, consumer base. You are awful. You are bad. Stop being yourself. Oh, and by the way, hey, on the way out, hey, would you give us some money?"
Mm.
Bro, and that was a really bad miscalculation.
That was the worst commercials of all time. Continue.
And why did they not get away with it? Because corporations have been working to separate the sexes, not just in the black community. They've been working to separate the sexes for a long time because they figured something out. If you fuel the women's, the womanism movement and say, we want those jobs, what do? You dilute the workforce. You effectively double the workforce. And what does that do for the employer? It allows you to keep the wages lower because you have a much larger base to choose from.
Right.
So one of the ways that they were able to keep wages from rising with inflation is to double the workforce. Hey, we want those jobs. Okay. Well, since now women are now competitors to men, it is now an employer's market. Before, it was an employee's market. But now, people are all, but what about the illegal immigrants? They make up less than 10% of the population. Imagine doubling the workforce.
Yeah.
You want to complain about the illegal immigrant? Look at the effect of just doubling the workforce like that.
Yeah.
You know how when Thanos snapped his finger, half the people disappeared?
Yeah.
Imagine Thanos appearing, snapping his fingers, and then now there is twice as many people available to do the same job. Wages are going to stagnate or they're going to go down, but there's also a really important thing. If men and women are separated, you've effectively created a gender war across the board. Guess what you can do? Twice the mortgages, twice the rents, twice the car notes, twice the auto insurance, twice the grocery bill, twice the clothing bill, twice the gasoline that needs to be paid.
Yep.
If you are able to separate people and destroy the nuclear family, you have just now moved the meter towards doubling your profit base.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got a bunch of MGTOW, men going their own way, those are guys who are going to be buying houses and renting houses and living alone. Sure, they're not going to spend as much as women in the consumer market.
But you're still creating.
But the housing market is going to be built on their backs.
Yep.
So you have an incentive for the corporations to draw profits. What do? You keep the sexes apart. You create enmity. You create hatred because we all know that you spend more money when you're upset than when you're happy.
Yeah, true.
And women tend to make more financially emotional decisions.
Yeah.
Not saying that women are more emotional than men, but the effect of a woman's emotions is there is going to be more profit to be made off that woman.
So,
but the thing is, but let me finish this off.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where Gillette fucked up. You see, the I as well movement was very effective at continuing to separate the sexes. So when they put out the commercial that says men are bad, they didn't calculate the fact that women were no longer purchasing razors on behalf of men because they had already successfully made drove a wedge between the sexes. So
Yep.
the women are not buying the razors for men anymore. Men are buying their own razors.
Yep.
And that is the miscalculation that Gillette made.
Are
So
you?
they were expecting that by saying, hey, men are horrible, that the women would run out and buy a bunch of men's razors from Gillette. It didn't happen because these women are all single. They are all alone. They don't have men in their life to buy razors for.
Yeah. Well, Dollar Shave Club definitely made out in that fucking.
Hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Well, because the problem is, man, and it's that type of fucking joke of a marketing thing where I watch that commercial and then I watch people make parodies of themselves. Actually, there's this channel I like, Zebra Corner, that makes like green screens himself into the commercials, and it was fucking pretty hilarious because it's just the absolute absurdity of some of their statements, like just watching kids beat the shit out of each other and like boys will be boys, like what the fuck am I watching, bro? Like I was a youth hockey coach. I'm not just.
And these women want to look at the thing is they want the women of tomorrow to look at these soy boys to be the ones to protect them in the next generation. I don't think that's gonna happen.
When they're the first one getting a 9mm shot through their skull.
You know? And the funny thing is, we just heard the Supreme Court say that they were not going to address actual gender equality.
No, because
let me make sure I get that up on screen, because I think that this is like really important, because you know we hear a lot about gender equality.
I just think as a whole, when it comes down to it, that was a poorly executed commercial, and it lost them, I think, like close to $1 billion in sales overall since that commercial. Like, or hundreds of millions. I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but it's just. Problem is these fucking companies just want to pander, and then you fucking, you cut off your nose to spite your face.
Right.
But the Supreme Court ruling or non-ruling.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Mm-hmm. This is actually kind of important in a lot of ways because it proves that they're not necessarily here, right? They're not here for equality. They're not here for gender equality. It's for very different reasons.
Okay, Supreme Court won't hear case arguing military draft registration discriminates against men. Now, I want to preface what I'm about to cover is that they don't want to hear it based upon a technicality. But the problem that I have with the Supreme Court's ruling is it is still a law on the books, largely created by the Supreme Court originally. So it would be overturning the position that the Supreme Court had before, when there was an issue with the draft, right? So the Supreme Court on Monday said it won't hear an appeal from men who are challenging the male-only U.S. military draft registration requirement on the grounds that it amounts to sex-based discrimination. Now, one of the things that I do notice is that I'm not seeing any women's groups fighting for the right to go be sent overseas and get their fucking legs blown off. I'm not seeing any of that.
No.
Somebody, because I could be wrong. There could be, some women's rights that are like, we deserve the right to go fight and die alongside the men, right? But it says the court's decision is holding off on taking the case, given that Congress could soon make the registration requirement applicable to women anyway. The Military Selective Service Act requires men to register for the military draft when they turn 18 years old. And I did that as well, and I felt like a fucking idiot. Because they'll send me over to fight and die, but they don't actually look at me as a full member of American society. But, I'm supposed to, but that's a different conversation. But I felt like a fucking idiot, but I had to follow the law because that's the law.
Oh, Jack Reed of Rhode Island, I know.
Yeah, the statement also alluded to recent comments by Senator Jack Reed of Rhode Island,
Yeah.
who chairs the Armed Services Committee and has said he hopes to incorporate a gender neutral registration requirement in upcoming legislation. The Supreme Court, again, and this is why people wanted to hear the Supreme Court on this subject. The Supreme Court upheld that the male only draft registration requirement in the 1981 case Rosker versus Goldberg. At the time, the court reasoned that because women were excluded from combat, they would not be needed in the event of a draft. The National Coalition for Men asked the court to overturn that 1981 ruling now that women can serve in combat roles, citing the Fifth Amendment to the Constitution.
Now, we can have another different discussion for a different day how that shit I don't agree with. But if you're going to have them in these roles and you're going to allow them in these roles, yeah, you should be able to be drafted as well. I think it's a fucking terrible decision. But, you know, yeah, you got to, if you're going to fucking, if you want the pros and all the fucking pros to being a man, you got to fucking go with the cons.
You're a savage, Jimmy Dean. You're a fucking savage.
Yeah.
And the thing is, you know, the science is very clear. The United States military would be weakening themselves by having women on the front lines because of our male. See, remember, I was told by a grown woman that 70 to 80% of women, 70 to 80% of men, do bad things to women. But the science is very clear on the battlefield that you will get a breakdown of ranks if a woman, because the only thing that an enemy has to do is shoot one of your women in the ankle, and they'll get your entire company will go down, because the male brain is wired to protect women. That is what that's what it is. This is actually if you don't get this fucking pop-up shit off my screen. Yeah, I'm pretty sure she wasn't on the front lines, though. But the thing is, the only thing that you have to do is compromise a woman in a battalion, and you can effectively destroy the battalion because every male is going to want to protect that woman.
It's so fucking stupid. Like, it really is. And this is where it comes down to fucking... As a society, we're fucking idiotic. Honestly, like, it's just basic science, basic physiology. Like, a man's gonna be stronger than a woman. Just base woman, base man. It's gonna be stronger. You know what I mean? Even an average man against a woman who fucking lifts and all this shit will get her ass wrecked even by the average dude. So, like, to me,
and then she would probably get
suck
hurt.
It. Yeah.
Should I say it?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
maybe. No, I'm just saying, like, it's fucking.
The YouTube algorithm might not like my next comment, so like, I guess I'll leave it up to the
Patreon for later. But so this is what I think, man. It's absolutely fucking stupid. Women shouldn't be in these combat roles. It creates such division within the ranks because you're putting them in a situation where if they get fucking hurt, like, of course, a man's initial response is like, "Oh shit, fucking Stacy," and then fucking, you know, they're not following orders. Like, it's just. The military has become so pussified, right? Over this past fucking couple. No, it has. It fucking has. Have you seen the commercial? It's a fucking.
In the name of equality, they had to pull down the standards.
Bro, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. Like, they're lowering the standards for these women to even go into these, like, elite.
Do you think the enemies of the United States are lowering their standards for equality's sake?
Fuck no, man.
They can't wait. You know, why do you think you're starting to see some aggression from some of the other world powers who have been seen as frenemies of the United States? They can't wait to get into a combat situation, have their scout pick out the female in there, put a slug in her shoulder, and then watch as every simp tries to save her, and they all get shot one by one by a sniper.
So, like, my problem is I have no problem if a woman wants to serve in the military, but they should be in a support role. and that's where they don't belong on the front lines. They just don't. Because I'm sorry, some of the shit that goes on in the battlefield, even just for a man, is fucked up. With a woman, I'm just gonna say it, you are prone to being raped if you're getting captured easily.
I think that might be, you know, probably a little bit lower on the list of things that you need to probably worry about
No,
in a
I
war
know, I
zone.
know. I'm just saying, like, besides her head getting blown the fuck off, what I'm saying is that I just don't see there's any benefits for a woman being in combat. She's gonna be a distraction. She's not gonna be able to like hand to hand combat. She's not gonna be able to fucking knock out over dude. This ain't Marvel, right? This ain't fucking some fictional universe, right? Uh,
Yeah, but that's not like reality getting in the way of a good story.
no, fuck no, right? And then you have third, like if you're captured, like shit's gonna happen. You know, it does happen. Like it's just, I think I get
And,
it. People want to serve their country, and that's admirable. But let's
but
put them
but
in a situation to succeed. Let's not just
but
do fucking useless, fucking pandering politics and fucking destroy our strength of our military. Because
and
honestly, bro,
again
it's pathetic.
and again, this is why over here on the Talking Shit podcast we don't blame women. Why? Because who made these rules?
Right?
So
Got it.
we have, men, even at the top, you got these guys who are pussified. If you look at
Yep.
Dwayne Wade and some of the comments that he's had about how he lets his wife lead the relationship, and of course you have a kid who, they're gonna look up to, he's got a male, he's got a male offspring that looks up to his mother as the pillar, and then you wonder why he wants to have a gash, and as
Oh.
we're gonna end the show on this note. We're gonna end the show on this note
That LeBron
today.
James and Shaquille O'Neal carried Dwayne Wade, but continue. So,
Um, we're gonna end the show on this note. Okay. I thought that this was a lot of fun, and we wanted to cover this before. As you can see, that this was at the end of last month,
yeah.
but this is probably one of the more funny. Um, this is probably one of the more funny things that I've seen. Check this shit out. Massive Bitcoin mine discovered in UK after police raid suspected cannabis farm. Okay? So the police thought
Yo,
the
look at
police
that
thought
shit.
that they
Yo.
found
Yo.
they thought that they found some of that purple haze.
Some of that good shit.
They
Yo.
The mine located in an industrial unit on the outskirts of the English city of Birmingham was stealing thousands of pounds worth of electricity from the power grid. Because that's really all they care about. Police searched the unit in Sandwell on May 18 on the back of intelligence that led them to believe it was being used as a cannabis farm. Come on, man. Tell
That's
me that's
fucking
not so fucked.
Bro, that
that's some
is
funny
so
shit.
funny. Dude, they must have been so pumped, stacked at the door, like, yes, I got this. It's going to be a big bust in my career. I'm going to get promoted. And they fucking go in.
Yeah,
dude.
hell yeah.
Yo,
And it's like, yo, when you bust the door open, were you able to see that, I don't know, it didn't smell like a fucking weed farm?
fucking idiots.
Oh, we've got the puns in the chat from our loyal watchers.
Dog. Yo. Weed coin. Yo. This is the funniest shit to me. That is so funny.
Many
Police-
people were visiting the unit at various points of the day, adding there were numerous wiring and ventilation ducts visible. A police drone also detected a lot of heat coming from the building.
No shit, right?
These are all classic signs of a cannabis farm. However, officers found a bank of around 100 computers and zero cannabis on entering the building. It's certainly not what we were expecting. It had all the hallmarks of a cannabis cultivation setup, and I believe it's only the second such crypto mine we've encountered in the West Midlands. So the thing is, it doesn't matter if it's drugs or anything. People really, really, really want to make money by any means necessary. One of my partners took a lot of her unemployment money, put it right into the stock market, straight up.
Mm,
The stimulus money, it stimulated one of those trading apps
mm.
to try to make more money. I think that that's where a lot of people are in society today. Um, so, uh, of course, they found a way to um, seize the computer equipment because they stole electricity, a naturally occurring thing. But wow, that's a nice comment to end the stream on today. I want to say, I'm gonna just say, um, uh, I'm gonna roast you a little bit. We've done 4 MMA watch parties, and Captain Paul's 0 for 4.
Yo,
Okay,
I could not yet. No, yo, some shit happened. I couldn't fucking do. I was in the hospital the whole time, and like it was a fucking shit show. It was an absolute shit show. I'm fine, and the person who went is fine too. But my man,
yeah,
bro.
but we the thing is, I know that the guys wanted to have an opportunity to roast you a little bit. Um, but the thing is, we were talking before you got on, and we were talking about the fact that that you did the right thing, even though we're gonna roast you for it. You still did the right thing because um, a lot of us grow up learning about relatives, but we don't understand what family is,
Mm,
right? And you did what a family man does.
mm.
And that means sometimes you're not going to show up for work,
I appreciate that.
you know? And this is something that, as men, we need to get used to. Um, we need to look at what Paul has done. And, um, I just, I, I salute you. I think there's important. I think that,
I appreciate that, man.
um,
Damn, well, man.
the power level is above 9,000.
Shit.
Shout out to Clinks, because hopefully Clinks will start doing his job and then help me with the soundboard,
Mm,
so that we can get some sound effects up on this bitch.
yeah.
But until next time, I want to say that I appreciate you, the viewer.
Mm.
Again, we would love for you to share. If you have not subscribed to our YouTube channel, please follow this link. If you have not followed us on social media, please do so. Because we got a lot of important things to say that I think that you guys really do appreciate. And we need to expand the conversation. Because right now we've got a little bit of an echo chamber.
Mm.
Again, anything that you want us to comment on, talking shit podcast llc at gmail.com.
Mm.
Please, check these things out. And until next time, we up out of here. Peace.